Hello, I'm Elijah Rose, the soldier turned historian. This is just some notes on some of the disputes around the Arabs' ancestry. First off, there's a lot of ambiguity surrounding the fates of the many sons of daughters not mentioned in previous videos. Namely, after Sarah died, Abraham is said to have married a woman named Keturah, and we know almost nothing about her. In fact, so little is written about her that medieval rabbis even suggest Keturah and Hagar were the same person, but none of the sources mention why or when a name change and permanent return of Hagar would return, even though Ishmael apparently stayed in Arabia. In any case, Keturah is said to have 7 sons with Abraham, and no mention is made of any daughters Abraham might have had over the years. Ishmael and Meribah also had many sons and daughters, at least one of which married one of Abraham's other grandchildren. Now, of course, is the Bronze Age thing. Inbreeding was common in that era due to the limited availability of persons to marry, as the world was generally empty, but that's a topic for a whole nother video. The ancestry of specific areas is also muddied by how Abraham's land claims were much more grand and nebulous than you probably realize, they extending far beyond what is now modern Israel. According to Josephus, Abraham's sons started homesteads everywhere from the north of Yemen to the Deir ez-Zor area in Syria. Josephus doesn't mention what happens to these homesteads, but because all sources say that during a famine, which I believe to be one and the same with the Bronze Age collapse, Abraham's whole clan went to Egypt. Now, no record exists about where exactly everyone ended up and why, but it can be presumed that most of the Abraham clan, minus Ishmael and his associates, went to Egypt, but that still leaves up the factor of the unknown because some of Abraham's other associates might have ended up somewhere else completely, wrecking gene pool records. There's also the matter of the Qatanites. Now, the Qatan clan of northern Yemen were contemporary with Muhammad, and they claimed their founder Qatan was the father of the Arabs, and the Qatanites were the purest of the Arabs. Now, some Jewish and Christian sources say this is evidence that the Arabs are not really the children of Ishmael because they think this Qatan guy is the same as as a man named Joktan, a man who lived 5 generations before Abraham and had many children that no one knows anything about. In fact, Joktan is little more than just a name and a genealogy. Now, all the above is tainted with propaganda, so it's hard to know anything for sure, but the Catan and Joktan connection is more than just that. Names sound similar enough that one could descend from the other. Joktan's clan is said to have lived between a place called Mesha and a Mount Safar, and both locations are lost to time. But it's thought that Zafar is the same place as Zafar, which is a hill fort in the south of Yemen. But it's actually possible that this is not the same location at all, because the Joktanites might have simply believed they were Joktanites and simply named this hill fort after Zafar rather than the other way around. Of course, others just argue that Catan is the same guy as Ishmael, and the name change is due to centuries worth of dialectical strangeness, especially in Arabia's long dark ages, where there are a lot of extreme local variations where only a handful of people spoke a given dialect that came and went with the decades. It is also possible that all the above is true, and Arabia was not completely empty when Ishmael and his family entered it, and an unknown dynastic succession combined all the clans together, and they became known as Ishmael's children, aka the children of Meribah, aka the Arabs. Now, this final solution is what I consider the most likely because it combines all the sources together, and the truth usually is more mundane than people like to believe. It's simply easier to believe that in the long dark ages of Arabia, people intermarried with their neighbors and bloodlines crossed beyond recognition until a new people and a new culture formed.